The Himachal Pradesh government of Congress Chief Minister Sukhu has sent out a circular last month from the Department of Culture asking temples and temple charitable trusts in the state to contribute to welfare schemes, two particular welfare schemes that are run by the state, both named after the Chief Minister. Both are for orphans as well as destitutes, basically people in the state who are in the poorer sections who need the help of the state. So the state government is now leaning on charitable institutions and temple trusts to try and help it. But here's the thing, the BJP is accusing the Congress government in Himachal of using temple money because it cannot fund its own guarantee schemes, and the fact is that the state treasury is empty. Just interest payments alone are in excess of 5,000 crores. In fact, the state's fiscal deficit has gone up by about 5% in the last 3 years since Mr. Sukhu's been in office. Now, the Congress has hit back, saying this is nothing new, that the same thing had happened in the previous BJP government when Mr. Jairam Thakur was the chief minister of the state. But at that time, no one created a hullabaloo. So why is the BJP politicizing it now? That's the question from the Congress state government. But first, let's bring you up to speed with what the story is. This is what the circular states. It's a circular that's been put out by the Culture Department of the Himachal state government. And it says, and I quote, various temple trusts that are functioning under the Himachal Pradesh Hindu Public Religious Institutions Charitable Endowment Act keep making contributions for charitable activities and welfare schemes run by the state government. Contributions must first be passed by the temple trust and in strict adherence to the laws governing these trusts. Following the circular, the opposition BJP there has stirred the hornet's nest by claiming that the government was seeking to fund some of its election promises, some of its guarantees, because the state did not have money. The state is bankrupt. It doesn't have money to meet those guarantees.
They should see कि किस कॉज के लिए मांगा जा रहा है. अनाथ बच्चों के लिए आप भी आगे बढ़कर आओ. मैं बीजेपी के लोगों से भी आह्वान करती हूँ कि आप भी अच्छे कॉज के लिए इन बच्चों को इनका भविष्य सुधारने के लिए हम सब पार्टी से ऊपर उठकर इन लोगों की मदद करें.
सनातन को गाली देना, सनातन का विरोध करना, लेकिन हिंदू मंदिरों और ट्रस्टों से पैसा लेकर के अपनी योजनाओं को चलाने की बात कह रहे हैं, ये सचमुच में ऐसा एक विचित्र निर्णय सरकार का है.
So this controversy has put the spotlight on the Free the Temples movement. Now, while the opposition to government interference in the management of temples, it dates back several decades, in fact right up to the British rule, the struggle seeking autonomy for temples has been a long one. You name some of the most popular shrines in the country, from the Vaishno Devi temple, the Siddhivinayak temple, the Sai Baba temple, the Puri Jagannath temple, Tirupati temple. They're all just a few examples of temples that are controlled by state endowments departments. The Kashi Vishwanath temple, for example, for a long time now, in fact, the RSS has passed a resolution many years ago demanding that the Kashi Vishwanath temple be returned to Hindus. And then another resolution was passed, first in 1988, then in 2020, the Supreme Court sent a notice to the Uttar Pradesh government in connection with this, the reinstatement of daily religious affairs to be given to a temple trust and freed of the charitable endowments department. In 2021, there was renewed demand for freedom of the temples from government control. The Mahakal temple, for example, in Ujjain, again a very popular shrine, that's not been the focal point so much of the Free the Temple movement campaign, but sporadic calls have been made on local level advocating of the transfer of temple management to an autonomous trust or a priestly body. But as for the Congress, which time and again has been accused by the BJP of running down Hindus and running down Sanatan Dharm, this U-turn in Himachal Pradesh by the Congress government under Chief Minister Sukhu, seeking funds from temple trusts and charitable institutions to meet its promises, to meet welfare schemes, to care for the poor, that is being called out. Now, there is a sequence in which this has happened, because all is not well, certainly with the treasury in Himachal Pradesh. The financial woes of the state are mounting. The government is not able to fulfill its entire welfare obligations. For the last 1 year, the Sukhu government has been in the news for all kinds of debt-related issues and has found unique ways in increasing prices, whether it is hiking prices of necessities, withholding salaries of government employees, even giving up own salaries of elected MLAs and ministers. They even rolled out a toilet tax, which of course the Himachal government then later clarified, The Himachal Bhavan, for example, a prestigious property, was also put up for sale. But the priorities have been rather misplaced. Such an investigation into missing samosas from a government event to a trip to the Maldives. The question is, if there isn't enough money for the state treasury to basically fund basic welfare programs, then it's time to ask some tough questions. So, let me go across to our political spokespersons who are now joining us. Sanju Verma, national spokesperson of the BJP, is joining us. Gokul Butel is principal advisor to the Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh. Mr. Butel, बहुत-बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए. So, explain the rationale for this, because in September 2024, ration के जो दाम थे, they were increased. In October 2024, the Himachal Pradesh government rolls out a toilet tax, then they climb back on it. November 2024, एक प्रोब ऑर्डर किया गया था टू फाइंड आउट मिसिंग समोसास फ्रॉम सरकारी इवेंट्स. अभी हाल ही में चीफ मिनिस्टर हैड गॉन टू मालदीव्स, अगेन सॉर्ट ऑफ बिग कंट्रोवर्सी अराउंड दैट. द डेफिसिट, द आउटस्टैंडिंग पब्लिक डेट of the state of Himachal Pradesh when Mr. Sukhu took over as Chief Minister in 2022 end was 37%. Today it stands close to 42.5%. 5.5% का increase हुआ है just in the total public outstanding debt of the state of Himachal Pradesh. और अब आप कह रहे हैं कि temples should fund some of the welfare for destitutes and orphans, etc.
Okay, hi. So I'll start with the first, how you started the show. Since the government has been sworn in, for some reason, maybe it is one of the few Congress-ruled states in the northern India. Maybe we feel that the national media is kind of unjust towards us. So I'll just, like today's debate, like you said, that temples have been asked. I would just like to clarify. When Chief Minister took over in 2022, December 2023, Himachal Pradesh Assembly passed a legislation. It was called Himachal Pradesh Sukhu, which was passed in 2023 in Himachal Vidhan Sabha for protection of women and especially orphan children. So there are about 4,000 orphan children, and since this scheme has been passed in Vidhan Sabha, there are over 6,000 applications. So I'll just highlight it's one of the first scheme in the whole country, and I don't think so we should look at it from a political standpoint. It's a very humane scheme, and it is the first scheme again in the country where children who are in our Sukhu, which were the homes for the orphans, they have been upgraded. They have been upgraded into a world-class facility. Children are getting pocket money till the age of 14. They're getting 1,000 rupees as a monthly allowance. 14 to 18, they're getting 2,500 rupees. Until they're 27. Till they're 27, not 18. Most of the states keep it till 18. It's 4,000 rupees.
But Mr. Butel, shouldn't the state fund this money? Why are you asking individual religious charitable trusts to be funding this money?
So there is a religious fund, and I will tell you, before all the 36 temples which come under this trust, before this enactment was made, they could fund, I will repeat, I'm reading the act which is in front of me, they could fund any propagation for Hindu religion and faith. That is where the trust could fund establishment and maintenance of educational institutions. The fund could do that for training of Vidyarthis and for securing health, safety, convenience of the disciples and the pilgrims who visit the trust. In the last government, there was an enactment made where it was said that the trust could fund the Gaushalas, because they also help in propagation of Hindu religion. And also COVID-19. That time, nobody made a hue and cry, and which I believe is completely fine, since cow is sacred to Hindu religion.
Okay.
It's completely okay. Also, the Chief Minister Relief Fund. This has been since 1985. All the temples could give in the Chief Minister Relief Fund.
Okay, so let me ask Sanju Verma to respond to that. If the same religious entities, these charitable institutions have been asked to fund during COVID-19, asked to fund Gaushalas, then why can't they take care of destitute children? Why can't they take care of orphan children?
Let me make one thing very clear. Please don't compare apples with oranges. COVID-19, the worst pandemic in 102 years, was a one-off case. It was a black swan event. For somebody to sit here and generalize what happened in 2020 and 2021 with what is happening in 2025, I mean, that defies logic. But let me get straight to the brass tacks. The most important point is this. Himachal Pradesh overall economy is barely 2 lakh crore. And Anurag Thakur is on record, and rightfully so, in saying that in the last 18 months alone, 30,000 crores worth of loans have been taken. This is more than the combined amount of loans taken by any previous dispensation in the previous 60 years, in the previous 6 decades. So the first point I want to make is that Himachal Pradesh's economy is not just in dire straits, it is on the edge of a precipice. It is actually into the throes of bankruptcy. The second point is, as you very rightly said in your introduction, there are two P's which are very important: a sense of proportion and priorities. I mean, look at the priority of Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu. On the 20th of February, he, along with his spouse Kamlesh Sukhu, who's also an MLA from Dera constituency, they went on a vacation to Maldives. You know, when the state is actually bleeding financially. In October 2024, there was this famous samosa controversy. मुख्यमंत्री के समोसा किसने खाए उसके ऊपर एक CID इंक्वायरी बिठा दी गई. It is, you know, laughable at one point, and it is also extremely unfortunate at another level. And then in November 2024, you had that famous toilet tax. You know, the number of toilet seats you have, taxes will be levied based on that, though of course later on it was revoked because of media brouhaha. But my point is this, and let's get down to the basic fact, Zaka. Today there are more than 2,000 temples in Himachal Pradesh. Not every temple, Himachal Pradesh is called Dev Bhumi, the land of gods. You have some famous temples like Naina Devi in Bilaspur, you know, Kangra Devi temple, Jwalamukhi temple, Chaurasi temple, Chatari temple, Kangra Devi temple. Some of these temples are very rich. Their treasuries are brimming. There's no denying that. But out of these 2,000 temples, there are many small temples in the rural hinterland of Himachal Pradesh. I was looking at some data, and I found that 72% of these smaller and mid-sized temples don't even give their pujaris the promised 3,000 rupee per month honorarium. What do you get in 3,000 rupees a month these days? And 86% of the smaller temples in the hinterland of Himachal Pradesh.
No, but Sanjay Verma, Mr. Butel just clarified, it's not all the temples of the state. There are only 36 temples that are part of this act. And this act was passed in the previous government. That's his contention.
I'm sorry to say, I think she's missing the context.
Let me finish. I did not heckle you. Can I please complete what I was saying?
Let her finish.
Yes. The point is not about 36 temples or 56 temples or 1,000 temples out of the 2,000 temples who have to mandatorily give money to the state. My simple logic is this. You promised honorarium of 3,000 rupees to temple pujaris. You did not fulfill that. The Modi government, when there was landslide last year, gave you 1,220 crores. You have not till date given an explanation as to what you did with that money. You were given 500 crores to set up a university in Dharamshala. You spent 200 crores and pocketed the balance 300 crores. So my logic is, what are you doing with the funds that the central government is giving you in good faith?
Can I ask Mr. Butel, you know, the total outstanding liabilities of the state is 94,000 crores, which is 44.2% of the GSDP of the state. Just the net interest payment that you have to pay every year is 5,465 crores. The state treasury is broke, which is why you are now having to ask temples and religious institutions to fund what would be basic welfare. I mean, these are orphanages that are run by the state, right? Why should religious institutions fund those orphanages?
Okay, let me first answer what my colleague from the BJP said. I think she's not aware of the context. Only 36 temples, the smaller temples she's talking about. Ma'am, do not interrupt. I didn't interrupt you. Let me complete.
No, I will interrupt if you make
No, please, statements. I did not. Let's have a civilized debate.
One at a time, please. One at a time. Mr. Butel,
So,
Mr. Butel.
See, only 30 seats. This notification has been given. I don't know if you could pull up the notification. I could share it with you. Number one, it is clearly mentioned that whichever temple wants to donate, they could. There's an act which is empowering them, and it just says they may. If the temple trust wants, they may. And the notification itself says that every such proposal must be passed by the temple trust in the meeting first. So if the temple trust wants to donate to the children, they can, number one. Number two, also, it has to be passed by the concerned DC has to be there. So I was interrupted last time. I'm telling you, Right now, temples can donate in CM Relief Fund. They could also, there was the Aapda Relief Fund, which was formed after the recent tragedy that happened in
Landslides,
Himachal. She's telling about 1,200 crores. The government of India itself says that over 30,000 crores destruction happened. What 1,200 crores they're talking about, we don't know about that. They said whatever money you've been getting in disaster, the PM calls Himachal his second house. There has been no reliefs. You know what happened in Uttarakhand when Uttarakhand disaster happened.
Okay.
And also, my friend, I would like to point out again why our loan taking ability has been stopped. When Mr. Jairam Thakur left the government, there was 80,000 crore rupees loan on Himachal government for a 75 lakh population. 80,000 crore rupees.
Okay.
Our Chief
Sanju
Minister,
Verma, final word. I need to move to the next segment after this. Yeah. Final word. The
let me
act
make
was
one
passed
thing
in the
very-
previous government.
Can I please finish?
Yeah.
Zaka, let me first, call out the bluff of this gentleman from the Congress. Be it Prime Minister's Relief Fund, be it, the PM Fund which was set up during COVID, or the State Disaster Response Fund, or for that matter, the GST devolution to states. Himachal Pradesh along with Karnataka have been the biggest beneficiaries, and the reason why RBI stopped giving loans to the Sukhu government is because you have not been able to meet any of the benchmarks in terms of fiscal prudence and financial propriety. And let me tell you one more thing, be it Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, be it Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, be it Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana or Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, the biggest beneficiary is Himachal Pradesh, thanks to Prime Minister Modi in the true spirit of cooperative federalism. So you are the last person who should be saying Himachal Pradesh has been given a step
I want to move on to the next segment. Sanju Verma will continue to stay on for that. Thank you very much, Mr. Butel.